Hello and welcome to the Queber channel. I'm Jason, your host. Grief is a hard thing to deal with. Loss, things like that. Everybody has it bad. So in no way am I special. But I do have to tread a very fine line in these situations. Ways that a lot of people don't have to deal with, and that's a good thing. See, when you lose someone, when something bad happens like it hits you, tears a piece of you away. Nothing's the same again. And most people go through what they call the steps of grief. I've never fully grieved for Paola, even though it's been over 5 years. This is part of what my mental health professional meant when he said to me, "How are you still alive?" You see, being autistic, we don't like change. And losing someone is one of the biggest changes that can happen in your life. So when you're autistic and you lose someone, it can destroy you. It can change everything. It can well, think of it this way, even a positive situation, if it's a change, can actually mess up someone who's autistic. Any kind of change can affect them in ways that is really not good. But then, so take this idea that losing someone is really bad. Losing something which is a change, if you're autistic, amplifies and changes into this is not. Imagine if you aren't neurodivergent and you ask yourself, why me? Why did this happen? Why? Well, amplify those thoughts, amplify that problem 1,000,000 times. That's the autistic side, seeing something different, something that's missing, something that shouldn't be missing, that isn't part of how it should be. And then we move on to, and remember, all these are working at the same time. They're not all separate. Bipolar type 2. Bipolar type 2, which means I'm automatically in a depressed state. I exist in a depressed state all the time. And an event like this, amplified by autism, amplified by the grief and the loss, can drop you down, deep down, into a depression spiral, which can lead to end-of-line events very easily. And then, add on top, also remember at this point as well, you've got to remember, as part of my issues with autism and stuff like that, once I know something, I can't unknow it, I can't move away, I can't take a break, I can't distract myself. It never goes away. The honesty in my brain, the way my brain only works on truths, will never be able to shift from. But then we bring in the ADHD, which will grab hold of that event and not let go of it, and will focus you on it and hyper-focus you on that loss, which feeds back into the autism, the normal depression and guilt, which feeds into the thingy and so on, and you get this feedback loop of this complete and total destruction of your mental faculties until an end-of-life event seems like a blessing. Why am I not on that path at the moment? Because, firstly, the support of all the people around me. That helps a lot. The massive, massive amount of coping strategies that I put in place. And yes, I have to create coping strategies for this kind of stuff as well. The simple, honest, absolute fact that it was Beryl's time to go. That it was a good thing. That it was a positive action. Because just like I can't filter out the event of her passing, I can't filter out the fact that it was a good thing. And all the good things that happened. And how me and Beryl were together. And also Bertie. Bertie relies on me. So all these things in a complex thing mean that Beryl's passing has not sent me into that thingy, and it's not become a bad thing. This is what I talk about when I say a bad thing, things that can trigger me into bad things. This isn't one of them because of very strong positive side to it. I have so many coping strategies in place, thousands upon thousands of these strategies for dealing with all this, for helping me get past them. Because the simple fact is, I know I will never get past it. It's a normal reaction, and the normal way your brain saves you is it starts to move away from it. It starts to distance themselves from the situation. It starts to create distractions and move on to things and focus on different things, and that it will still hurt. It's still a horrible situation. I'm not belittling in any way how bad it is for anyone who's neurotypical. It's a horrible thing to lose someone. But neurodivergent people get it worse, and people dealing with bipolar and that. Of course, if I hadn't done the best for Beryl, that would be a different kettle of fish, because then guilt would kick in and amplify the depression, and I'd have to be ringing up the hospital or ringing up the crisis team about it. Change is bad. As I've always said, I'm always on a knife edge. I'm always on the balanced edge of trying to keep things going in a way and in a level where I have these situations covered. But when I think about Beryl, they come in to pick up her body this morning, and she's going to be cremated. I have so much positive instant reaction in my brain when I do think about her. The way she used to annoy Bertie. I mean, it was always so funny when she would, if Bertie wanted to go to sleep, and she wouldn't let him go to sleep no matter what. No dog in her house was allowed to go to sleep unless she was ready to go to sleep. So this little terrier would first start licking his mouth and sticking her tongue inside his mouth, inside his cheeks and his lips and that, and trying to wake him up and trying to annoy him to the point where he'd get up. And if that wouldn't work, she'd literally climb on top of his body and start humping his head. He would literally do that until he just had to get up. And Bertie's looking at me and saying, I just want to go sleep, I'm tired. Why can't I go to bed yet? And she was the same when he had toys. Oh, she hated toys. Beryl was not interested in toys at all. Toys never interested Beryl at all. But if Bertie took an interest in one of his toys, that was it. She would take it away from him. And not only would she take it away from him, she'd go and hide it somewhere he couldn't find. She was Machiavellian like that. She really was. And no matter how much food you put in her bowl, for her, the first thing she would do when the food bowls went down is go over to his. And he wouldn't go to his food. There's a very interesting dynamic you notice with a male and female dog, and that the way a female dog will usually rule the roost completely and totally, no matter the size. It doesn't matter whether the male dog is giant and the female is a little tiny thing, the female will rule that fucking roost. And so, no matter how much he wanted his food and that, if she was interested in it, he couldn't get to his or her bowl. That's why I had to separate the bowls so much, not so much to protect her food from him, but the way he was. And even after she finished her food, if I was going to leave the rest of it and she didn't eat it all, I was going to leave the rest for him. He'd sort of be sitting in the corner waiting for her to basically okay him to go and eat it. The way she loved my computer system and I mean, before she got really, really too old to do it, my monitors were constantly covered in doggy drool from her sticking her nose up against the monitors. Constantly had to clean the monitors because she wanted to see stuff and wanted to watch me play and wanted to see all the animals or the explosions. It's like her favourite movie. Her favourite movie was Avengers Assemble. The first Avengers movie in the MC universe, because of the explosions and that on screen. She loved sitting down next to me and watching the explosions on screen. Bertie's got no interest in TV at all. Some dogs don't see those images in TV as real. She saw them as real and she loved them. See, there's so much positive. My budget's going to be slightly better now after this. Oh God. I was spending more money on her takeout bill to try and make sure she could eat anything she wanted than I was spending on my entire budget of food for myself per month. But you know what? Fucking worth it. Seriously. Very much like the situation when Paola was close to dying, when we knew that we were coming to the end, when all the stuff had failed, when we couldn't stop it anymore, and I knew that, fuck it, I'm going to spend as much money as possible. I'm going to max out any credit cards I'm going to thingy, because I'm going to make sure that if at all possible, Paola is going to be able to do anything she wants in these last years. That's the same kind of thing I think when it came to Beryl. It was, fuck it. Yes, this is ruining my budget. Yes, this will mean that I'm going to have a couple of hard months. Thankfully not, because I've got a refund coming in from Pimax still not here. And so it's a choice, no choice situation for me. It always has been. It's like when Paola's got ill for the first time in 1998, and I had to decide about paying stuff like electric bills or spending the money being able to get to the hospital to see her each day. No choice at all. I really hope you're all having a good day. I hope that you're with people who matter to you. I hope you have reasons to smile, because when it comes down to it, you need those reasons and deserve those reasons. Take care of yourself.